What's going on YouTube? So today, I think we're gonna do fluid changes. So we're gonna do transmission, oil, we're gonna check plugs, probably gonna clean some plugs up with our spark plug cleaner because I'm cheap. And I'm gonna show you guys how I check my fluids. You've already seen on Dylan's how we opened up the oil filter. I'm gonna do that again on mine. It's just a good precaution to see how everything's living. And then when I'm changing the transmission fluid, I'm gonna show you how I kind of take like a clean rag and make sure that looks clean. If it looks a little dirty, or if I see any type of stuff going through there, we might drop the transmission pan, which ain't too bad. Check the filter, make sure everything's tight and everything like that. But other than that, that's probably all we're gonna end up doing today. So not a really crazy, like exciting video, but a little bit of insight on some maintenance that I have to do and check out how these fluids are looking. So we'll get to that. On the turbo. So we're still waiting on the turbo. It's not here yet. I'm hoping to get it here pretty soon just because we got races coming up. So I'm gonna do a video on the race schedule. I'm also gonna do a video on our sponsors for this year and just give everybody an idea on what races we're gonna plan to go to. And we're gonna definitely be doing a point series this year too at Capitol. So that'd be pretty exciting. I've never done like a point series championship before, so first time doing that. But still waiting on the turbo. So our only option, if I do not have a turbo in time to get it on, get Keith to weld and test for the first race, we're gonna throw this 8684 back on with the wheel the way it is. I think it'll be fine, and it's only gonna be a couple hits plus testing, but that's our only option to get this car going. I sold my 7275, so that is gone. So I can't go back to that. So the only option right now is throw the 86 on, let her eat. So that's where we're at with that. So let's get to these fluid. So another thing I wanted to do before this season is put a new, there you are, put a new transducer on my oil pressure sensor because we were having some oil pressure sensor weird things going on. So I'm gonna do the sensor switch first just to see if that takes care of it. And if it does, then we're golden. If it does not, then it's probably a wire problem. So then we'll have to troubleshoot wires. But sensor swap is the easiest route. So you always go with the easiest route first. So exactly the same sensors. These are just cheapy sensors on Amazon. So I'm gonna put a little bit of tape on this guy and get her in there. All right, we got a new sensor. Go ahead and got a little bit of thread tape on there. Shove her back in. I'll show you guys real quick how I do my pressure sensor for my oil to keep it out of the elements. If you guys watched the Dylan video, I ended up relocating his oil pressure sensor just to get it out of the heat. All right, good, plug her back in. Now again, we don't know if it's gonna take care of it because we're not sure if it was pressure or what it was. So we're just hoping that's gonna take care of it. So really quick, this is how I run my pressure. So I have a T right here. right? And this is my T to my turbo. This is a factory oil pressure gauge that I had my VTEC solenoid connected to, but we don't need it anymore. And then I just want a remote line underneath the manifold and up and over to a bulkhead with my pressure sensor. Some guys would just throw them right in here, and you got all this heat here messing with it. Up over here out of the way, and I could probably move that a little bit further over just to get away from the manifold, but all your stuff survives a lot better up out of the way. If it's underneath this manifold with all this heat going on down here where the turbo's at, it's gonna eat stuff up. So just an easy way to get it out of the way. Also, you can replace the sensor super easy. I could have the full turbo kit in here and I can still get to the sensor. So quick and easy troubleshooting as well. All right, so you guys are underneath the car with me now. So what I like to do is when I do my oil, I like to watch it as it's coming out. I got a clean white rag here, and I will almost kind of inspect it as it's pouring out. It looks really good. So what I'm doing is I got my headlamp on, and I'm just kind of looking at it as it's pouring out, looking at the little puddle that it's making in the pan. Let's see if I can get you guys to see that. So it's creating a little puddle there, and you kind of look in there to see if you're getting any type of weird metal filings or anything like that. So that's what we're looking for. Check out the oil while it's coming out, and it looks pretty good. Very good. Looking nice. No crazy filings. You got a little bit of like carbon, and that's really it. So it looks really good. So this is a successful oil change. And then while she's draining, another thing we do is we'll go ahead and pop the oil filter off. Should be able to twist her off. Nope, I gotta get a tool. So while the exhaust and everything is off, this is a really good time to just go ahead and do everything, because this oil filter is gonna be quite rough to get to. Once, go ahead and take the cap off, just so that everything drains out easier, because it creates a vacuum pressure. Go ahead and undo your oil filter here. She's gonna puke out, and your catcher down there is right in line. All right, so she's out, and we're gonna go over here and cut her open. So if you guys watched Dylan's videos, you saw me cut open his large one. So now we're gonna go ahead and cut open this Honda filter.
Same process. This oil filter cutter will do any size. Small, large, don't matter. Alright.
She's open and she's making a mess. All right, now here's the fun part. We get to open this guy up, take out our filter. Now what I like to do is try to get as much of that oil back in there. And what I'm gonna do is you really wanna look down in your cup, because your cup is gonna hold some filings if you have filings. So as I dump this out, I'm running my finger down through there, and there's nothing. Very, very clean oil, which means none of my cleats are gonna have material either, most likely. Nope, they look really good. Just the thing that sucks about these really, really small ones is the cleats are quite hard to open. So what you can do is you can run a razor blade down both sides and then rip all the cleats out, and you kind of really open it up. So if I were to like to see some material, that's what I would do. But I don't see anything at all. Okay, and then the process for the transmission is pretty much the same, except you don't have a filter to split apart. The filter in the transmission is up inside. And in order to look at the filter in the transmission, you have to drop the whole pan. So I don't drop the pan unless it looks like I got some fluid going on and I'd have to drop the pan. So we're just gonna go ahead and we're gonna take the fluid out. I'm gonna look at it visually with a flashlight, and if it looks clean, then we're just throwing new fluid in the car. If I see some pretty serious shimmer or sparkle, or I see some chunks of anything, then the pan's gonna come down. Transmission fluid is out and got our plug out, and everything looks really, really good. So it's got very, very, very fine metallic, which is totally normal because in an automatic transmission, you do have a clutch pack and you have a lot of moving parts. So that's a little bit of the clutch material, and you know, any of the moving parts that are in there, there is a little bit of metal and metal stuff inside. So you're gonna get a little bit of something, but you don't want chunks, you don't want big flakes, you don't want actual metal filings. When I say metallic, I'm talking like micron, very small. So that's totally normal. And most of it is just clutch material, so you don't really have to worry about that. And luckily the fluid actually smells decent. So that means I wasn't burning up the transmission at all. I run 2 coolers on the trans, one in the front, one in the back with a fan. And my transmission always runs pretty cool, and I never really have any problems. And I just make sure the fluid's changed. If I do go to a race and I get burned down at the start line or something, I always make sure I'll smell my fluid, see if I burned it up. But typically it stays pretty darn good. So we're gonna go ahead and get all new fluids in the car, and I don't really have to do anything. I know I mentioned about dropping the oil pan, checking rod bearings. I don't know if I am. The oil looks so good, and I've had such great oil pressure all year long that I'm not gonna say it's a waste of time. I don't think any type of that maintenance is a waste of time, but I don't know if I just wanna mess with it. I don't wanna undo the bolts, I don't wanna take them down. Everything is working really well, and I don't think it deserves me going in there and messing with anything. So I just think I'm gonna leave it alone for this season. And again, I just do the same thing I do all the time. I make sure my oil is good, I check my filters, I check how it looks, I change the oil often, and when you do that, the motor is gonna live very long. So I think we're good to go. I think bearings are living really well, and we're gonna just go ahead and send it.
Just gonna send it!
Quick little update on some of the stuff that I got for my new boost line. So I had to get some new O-rings for these guys because I didn't have enough. I guess I lost some, but these have little metal O-rings on both sides to help seal up any of the vacuum and boost. So I actually got little copper guys, so they should work really well. And then I got a little bit larger tees. These are 5mm tees for our line. And you guys already saw these 90 degrees, but we're gonna go ahead and throw those in the Mac valve. And we got our nice thick wall silicone. So once we get our manifold back on and get our turbo and everything hooked up, then we'll go ahead and do all the boost lines, show you guys how everything's routed, and hook that all up. So a couple things you always stock: filters, brake cleaner, and oil. And transmission fluid, of course. So I got my German, my Audi stuff in the back there. I got my transmission fluid, which I just use old Fram Dex. For the rear ends, I use the heavy duty Lucas for the rear end and the S2000. And then it's all Brad Penn for motor oil. And then filters, factory filters. Factory Honda OEMs, main filters for the Audi, and then I get wick filters for my truck. Oh, and you guys that use a lot of brake cleaner, get the case on Amazon. Save you a lot of money instead of buying singles. I just buy a whole case, lasts me quite a while, save some bucks. Filling transmission up, very tedious. It goes really slow and really tiny funnel to get down in this. I have a flex line to feed the transmission. And it just takes a while. Also, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna fill up, probably put about, you know, this whole thing in, probably about a gallon. And then I'll check it. And then when we start, you have to check your automatic transmissions in park with the car running because it circulates the fluid, gets the fluid pumped back in the converter. So you gotta check all that. So this isn't the final thing. Once the car's back together and running, I'm gonna have to do this again with filling it up and topping up. Whiteboard, and I decided to go ahead and use it as a garage whiteboard. Since I'm getting old and forgetful, I'm going to go ahead and do boxes to check off stuff that I need to make sure that's good to go before I start the car. So obviously we did our oil, but I need to check the oil levels. I'll check that once everything's back together and the engine and everything is back at a level surface on the ground, because right now she's on stand, so you want to check your levels when it's on the ground. Obviously transmission fluid when it's running, check on my T-bolt clamps, do the spark plugs, and we're gonna make sure we have oil pressure, dry crank before we start up. Not only because we changed the oil filter, but because we're gonna have the new turbo on, and you're gonna wanna pressurize the turbo with some oil before you start up. So it's just a good practice for a brand new turbo. Get some oil in that center cartridge. So you're gonna do some dry cranking, push oil in, then crank it. It should have a good oil bath and you'll be good to go. All right, so something I've been wanting to do for a while, and I might as well do it now, is we got some line, and I've been wanting to redo my oil drain from my turbo, and the reason why is because of this guy. It started to pull out, and I just don't like, so this is PTFE line. The line is right in there, that black Teflon, but it's not well protected, and it's got quite a kink on it. It also was rubbing pretty good here, and I just don't like how it's looking. So we're just gonna redo the line. I'm gonna make it just a hair bigger to give it a little bit more space. So I'll show you guys how to do PTFE lines. Honestly, the biggest pain is just getting them undone here. So I just use adjustables. One day I might have nice AN fittings to do this. They make AN fitting wrenches, but I just do it the old school way. All right, so it's the sleeve here that comes off. You'll pull that sleeve off, and there's your threads, and then you can pull this out. And there's your PTFE, there's your little flare fitting, and everything's in there. So we're gonna clean all this up. Man, that was sharp. You should probably wear gloves when you're doing this, guys. Just saying. You gotta pull this guy out. Needle nose. I think that went through the skin there pretty good. Yeah, I think I'm all right. Go ahead and pull your flare, your little brass flare guy out.
And he's really on there. There you go, there's your flare. We'll clean them up real good. Take that off, and then there you have what's left. And so we'll do the other side here. All these fittings look good. We'll go ahead and we'll clean them up really good with some brake cleaner and stuff.
20 minutes later.
There you go. All right, we cleaned up all of our fittings. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my original piece of hose and I'm gonna lay it and I'm gonna roll her down to get the best, closest. I'm gonna add about a 1/2 inch or so. So right here. And then take some electrical tape and you're gonna put over top where you're gonna cut. So on that other side electrical tape is where we're gonna cut. Before you do all that though, you gotta put your sleeves on. So this sleeve is gonna be this way, so you put it on the far end. And then your other sleeve is gonna go this way, so you keep that on this end. So then you keep your sleeves in the middle, so then your sleeves are ready to go. Your next step is the fun step, and that's where we cut. We're gonna go ahead and cut this line. And I like to cut with just my zipper here. Safety first, guys. You don't want to get this stainless braided stuff in your eyeballs. It sucks. And there you go. The reason I like just using the Dremel or some type of cutting disc is that it really gets a super smooth cut. Like, look at that nice cut. What you can do is you can run some brake cleaner up to get the trash out, but super nice clean cut on the end. All right, got it fitting. There we go. So you take the rubber stuff off and it shows a little bit more of the braided, and then you can really fan out the braids. See that? So you fan that out, and then you can get your brass collar. Another thing I'll do is I'll go over and I'll cut these off. You can cut them off with the dikes, cutters. So you can do this, which is a real pain. Best thing I found, just take it over and Dremel them off. All right, so I went over to the Dremel. I just kind of gave it a haircut, you know. All right, and then the next thing you want to do is I like to get a little WD-40. I'm going to double D40 this stuff up. It just acts as a lubricant, gets it in a little easier. You're going to take your brass guy and you're going to put it on there until it meets the top ridge. Now, there's 2 ridges in here. Probably can't really see it on the camera, but there's 2 little ridges. There you go. The first ridge is what clamps her down. The second ridge is what it stops at. Then you just take your fitting, you shove her in there, you bottom up your fitting, you drive up your sleeve, and you tighten it up. Once you tighten that up, what it's doing is it's putting pressure against that brass sleeve.
Okay, now you start to feel pressure.
And you don't really have to, you don't have to like crank them all the way down, all right? You can see there's a little bit of space there. You just keep cranking. It could just cut through that PTFE. So I just go to it's nice and tight, and that's all you got to do. So we got one end done. We'll go ahead and do the other, and then we'll have our new return line. All right, we got our new line in there, nice and black now. And I feel like I got a lot more room there. So once we get the new turbo on, we'll be able to see how it all lines up, but it looks like I got a good bit more room and we shouldn't have any issues. So we did our oil change, our trans fluid change, and went ahead and replaced our pressure sensor, see if that gives any more problems. And then we got a new turbo drain. So I've been wanting to do that for like a year. I really can't believe that this thing didn't blow on me on a race. I mean, it was not doing too hot. And I was too lazy to make a new one. Probably should have, because that could have been probably pretty bad. So anyways, guys, that's pretty much all I got for today. Stay tuned. Next video is going to be pretty exciting. So hopefully it's going to be a turbo reveal. Also, we're going to go ahead and go through all of my sponsors for the year. We got a bunch of new sponsors coming on. I am so blessed because I would have never thought that I'd be having multiple offers to join different sponsors. So really, really cool stuff, guys. And the new setup, couldn't do it without these sponsors. Getting a ton of help this year, which is awesome. So it's gonna be a huge year for us. A lot of moving stuff this year, guys. A lot of exciting things happening. I don't wanna say it all in the video. I wanna say it as they come. So make sure you stay tuned. We got some new stickers coming. There might be a sneak peek behind me right there. Yep, that's gonna be our new sticker. Once they come in officially, we're gonna be putting them on the car and showing you guys the new sticker logos and everything. It's gonna be super awesome. So again, guys, thank you. Comment, like, and subscribe. If you guys got any questions, you know where to post them. I'll catch you guys later.